Every play so big at this stage of this ball game, every flexing of every muscle, every thought that goes through any player's mind on the floor.
The game on the line, the score time.
Oh, it's tough at the line under pressure.
I sense a little anxiety, a little tightness here.
3.7 ticks and the clock to go.
A title's at stake.
When the game is tight and it's knotted up, I know at the end of the game I'm going to take over.
It is a constant presence, intense and unrelenting, holding each player in its grip. In the NBA, there is no escape from the pressure.
It's a feeling of power because you sort of control the team's destiny, whether you're going to lose or whether you're going to win.
These are the moments.
And performing under pressure is a true measure of greatness.
The season is on the line.
Get him off the block. Play some defense. Push him. Minute to go. Elimination game.
In these critical moments, games, seasons, and careers are often defined.
Now they find themselves in desperate straits.
You guys squeeze on it. You get a stop and a score. Stop, score. We're going to have to see if they can respond.
Players face their ultimate test when time is running short and the pressure is running high.
It's win or the season endeth on the spot.
All right, here we go. Playing for a last shot. The game on the line, the score time.
You can feel the drama and the pressure.
Even if I miss that last shot, I want to take it.
6, 5, 4.
That separate the men from the boys.
In the NBA, pressure comes in many different forms, and you'll see exactly what I mean during this video as we look at some of the league's greatest pressure players and performances. Now, playing under pressure is something I became familiar with during my career with the Lakers. For example, the game in 1988 when I had my first triple-double. What a memory. Now, fortunately, it came at the best possible time, Game 7 of the finals when we beat the Detroit Pistons for the NBA championship. Now, some people even started calling me Big Game James. Now, the problem with a nickname like that is having to live up to it. But the NBA has had many other big game players who were at their best when the pressure was on.
7, 6, 5. DeBusschere shoots. Hits with 3 seconds to go. 2 seconds. 1 second. West throws it up. He makes it. West threw it up and makes it. The ball game is tied. Jerry West made it from the other side of the midcourt stripe.
Whenever you're the leader, you take all the brunt of the responsibility.
I'm not shooting until the final second. If I make it, we win. If I miss it, we're going into overtime. I ain't giving them a chance to shoot it again.
From a mental standpoint, it's an all or nothing proposition for that individual. There was no doubt in my mind that if I got the ball at the end of the game, I was going to make it.
Here's Isaiah. Let's see what we got. All the way up. Go!
When you're talking about sacrificing and putting all that on the line, that's what separates great from good.
That's a responsibility that you place upon yourself. And when you've done it before, people expect it.
8 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's over!
It came to a point in my life where I really had great confidence. I thought it was easier to score late in the game than it was early in the game.
Well, for me, it was strictly a thing of whether or not I was being played one-on-one. I knew I could get into the lane somehow and get a good shot off.
What a basketball game we've had. Oscar Robertson throws to Kareem. 7 seconds. Tinkle. Kareem with a big pressure shot.
That was my job. I think I was particularly well-suited to do it.
There's 40,000 eyes on Larry Bird because they knew he was going to get the ball. And we knew it, our opponents knew it, now it's just up to them to stop it.
2-point Maverick lead. Bird's the man they want to have it. Yes, indeed. Bird for 3. Yes! Larry Bird for 3 with 4 seconds to go. Celtics lead it by 1. What
not only you, not only your teammates, not only the opponents, and not only the fans know that if the game is on the line, everyone knows where the ball is going to end up.
Harper's on Miller. McKee gets it in the middle for the win.
Unbelievable! Reggie hits the three with 7/10 of a second to go.
If I was called upon to take the last shot, I never put pressure on myself.
Here come the Celtics. 3 seconds. Hondo off the glass. He's got it with a second. John Havlicek.
But making clutch shots is only one way of performing under pressure. Bill Russell did it with defense that was dominating and also intimidating.
One thing that you want to do to your opponents is to make them think, make them know they can't win. I tried to put the pressure on them before the game started. They know that they're going to lose. And just how they were going to lose was the only question for them. That's what I wanted them to think when they came to the game.
West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell.
We shut a guy down or block a guy's shot and say, yes, we did that to you. And if you come back, we'll do it again. If you come back again, we'll do it another time. So you'll have to try something else to do. That won't work.
By having that type of mentality, it sometimes allows you to produce those miracle finishes.
Greer's putting the ball on a play. He gets it out deep, and Havlicek steals it over the stand zone. Havlicek stole the ball. It's all over. Sonny Havlicek stole the ball.
Some people have the ability to get the job done a little better than others, and I think a lot of it has to be accomplished through the physical talent that you have, the mental aspect, and maybe there's divine intervention at times too.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right at 1 second left. What a play by Bird.
Bird's dramatic play was just his latest miracle in a career that first captured national attention in 1979. It was the most celebrated matchup in college basketball history. Michigan State and their star Magic Johnson would defeat Larry Bird and Indiana State for the 1979 NCAA title.
I don't know if two guys have ever arrived on the scene at the same time in any sport, anywhere that you can think of, who were so much the same. One of them with the Lakers.
Straight down the middle. Still going, still going. Oh!
And one of them with the Celtics.
Look at that pass. Oh, what a show. Play. Oh, what a show.
I mean, that was perfect. That's central casting.
I really didn't care what anyone else did. I always checked to see what Magic was doing because I knew he was a special player, and I was always trying to keep up with the things that he done.
Showtime.
I like the fact that we came in together because it gave me a sense of shooting for the stars. And I knew I had to play every single night to keep up with Larry Bird over here on the East.
In 1984, they renewed their rivalry in the NBA Finals. But this time, Bird would lead his Celtics past Johnson's Lakers in 7 games.
Several chances, and here's Larry Bird chucking down the court.
It didn't sit well because I pride myself in being one of the best players to ever play in this game in the clutch situation, in the pressure situation, and I didn't come through for my team.
But the 1985 finals would provide Magic with an immediate chance for revenge, and it would come on the parquet floor of his adversary as the Lakers looked to seal the title in Game 6.
This man, Magic Johnson, played this season with a mission for the Lakers, and it's about to pay off.
Magic had won the latest round as the Lakers became the first team ever to eliminate Boston on their home court. With one victory each, Bird and Magic would have their third and last NBA Finals showdown in 1987.
I don't think you ever get anywhere in life unless you develop an adversary. And you want to have an adversary, an opponent that's going to motivate you, that's going to bring out the best in you.
When we caught them in '87, we knew they were hurt, but they still had Larry Bird. I didn't fear anybody, but I feared Larry because I knew that he could win.
The Celtics have a 2-on-1.
Despite Magic's concerns, the Lakers seemed to have the title well in hand when Johnson rallied his team to 2 easy victories in Los Angeles.
Magic gets an easy basket.
But as the scene shifted to Boston Garden for Game 3, Bird would look to shift the momentum, leading the Celtics to victory and putting them back in the series. And in the pivotal 4th game, Bird would try to deliver his trademark heroics one more time as he fought desperately to keep the Celtics in the game. With time running out, he would give Boston the slimmest of leads.
Larry Bird with a big 3-point bomb.
They up 1. Coach Riley called to play for Kareem. And I got it, and Kevin McHale basically switched out.
I knew exactly what he was going to do. I mean, every time I think about that and see the game in my mind, he drove the middle and went up for the hook shot with hardly no time on the clock.
5 seconds to go. Magic with a hook shot, scores with 2. And the Celtics trail by 1.
I've always dreamed of beating the Celtics with a shot. That moment in Game 4 probably was the most special moment for me and the greatest shot that I've ever taken.
It was almost over. I mean, we had one last shot. We had 1 second on the clock, and I got enough room to get it off, and I thought it was in.
Bird fires it. And the Lakers have won.
It was not only the end of the series, it turned out to be the closing chapter in one of the NBA's classic rivalries.
I knew then that we would never play again for the championship. I knew then that this was it for the greatest basketball that's ever been played in the NBA.
In their head-to-head matchups, Bird and Magic had pushed each other to new heights and shown why they were 2 of the game's top pressure performers.
They played not just to focus the spotlight on them, but to raise the level of the game. I think they both understood that, valued it, and pursued it their entire careers, and they could not have gotten it to the level that each did without the other.
By the time he retired, Magic had led the Lakers to 5 NBA titles, leaving behind a legacy of winning and also of showmanship. He had left large shoes for anyone to fill, especially an 18-year-old fresh out of high school. Yet Kobe Bryant was immediately thrust into a starring role, and he would prove that when it came to showmanship, he was a fitting follow-up act to Magic.
Here's a steal. There we go. Here comes Kobe. Slam.
Bryant takes his drive down the lane. A spectacular move by Bryant. Bryant, look at that move. And that's for the highlight reel.
Kobe had received his basketball education at a young age from his father Joe, who played 8 NBA seasons. And he learned his lessons well, becoming a high school sensation in Pennsylvania. As he considered a jump to the NBA, Kobe once again turned to his father for advice.
He always told me if I had a dream, go out there and get it. And when it came down to make the decision whether to go college or go pro, just go with your gut feeling.
When he made this decision, we couldn't have been more happy for him, but we knew he's going to play with the big boys, and it's a little different. And we told him that. I said, these guys, you know, all these guys as big as your dad.
And Kobe would have little time to make the adjustment. Joining the Lakers in 1996, he instantly became a focal point of the team.
A coming-out party for the high school kid.
Bryant would not only prove he was ready for the NBA, he would even draw comparisons to some of the game's greatest players.
Well, that doesn't remind you of Michael Jordan. What does?
It was a great game. I mean, I was really looking forward to that game, just to come out and accept the challenge of going up against one of the greatest players of all time in Jordan and, stepping up to the plate.
But in the 1997 playoffs, the young rookie would get his first taste of postseason pressure. Facing elimination in Game 5 against the Utah Jazz, Kobe took the fate of the Lakers into his own hands.
Bryant for 3, it's short again, air ball, the young rookie, 3 times, he shot air balls, here in pressure.
got to put it behind you. Those are one of those things where there's a fine line because it can make you or it can break you. And I like to turn every negative thing into a positive.
Though Bryant had missed the big shots, the fact he was even willing to take them had earned him respect. He had shown he was prepared to assume the burden of his team's success or failure.
This kid is going to be something.
Simply because of Kobe's excitement and I think his personality, it certainly raises a bar of everyone's expectation.
As he continues to develop into one of the game's brightest stars, the spotlight on Kobe will only grow more intense, and clearly, he is ready for it.
I understand what got me to this point, and that's hard work and playing a lot of basketball and loving what I do. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I'm not going to let it overwhelm me. I'm just going to continue to set goals, and whatever happens, happens.
Kobe has tried to pick up where we left off back in the 80s and has shown he can handle the pressure of being a Lakers star. But there's another kind of pressure in the NBA, the kind when a player has the ball and the game right in his hands. I'm talking about the free throw. Now, after practicing it thousands of times, it should be routine, but it never really is, especially in a tight game. Everyone is watching you, the other team is trying to distract you, and in the end, it comes down to just you, the ball, and the rim. Oh, and don't forget the pressure.
The tip-off of an NBA game triggers 48 minutes of perpetual motion. It is a breathtaking rush of slam dunks, fast breaks, and non-stop action. But there also comes a moment in every game when time stands still, and one player stands alone with the ball in his hands and the pressure on his shoulders. It is the solitary struggle known as the free throw, presenting a classic duel of man against himself.
It's the easiest part of the game. It's the only part of the game of basketball where you're not having someone attempting to stop you from doing it. It's the only consistent and constant in the game. You're 15 feet from the basket, the ball is the same size, the basket is the same size. When you get to the line, everything is natural. You're hanging down, totally relaxed. The shot is a much softer shot. You have two hands to control the flight of the ball, and you actually start developing a feel and a touch for it.
Rick Barry should know he was one of the game's best foul shooters.
The old underhand free throw. He put 60 in a row in.
Using his unorthodox style, Barry led the league in free throw shooting 5 times and averaged 90% for his career. Yet some of the game's most dominant players who overpowered all opponents would find their most difficult obstacle at the foul line.
They went to for the points, they went to for defense, they went to for rebounding, they went to for assists, they went to whatever the game asked they went to for me. You understand? They didn't go to me to shoot the technical foul. Sorry about that.
It's not a macho shot. It's astounding to me that it's such an abused part of the game of basketball, and it's cost a lot of teams chances to go on for championships.
That is something Nick Anderson can attest to. In Game 1 of the 1995 Finals, he had 4 chances to seal a victory.
Nick Anderson at the line, usually a dependable free throw shooter. And another miss. And he misses 4 straight.
Houston would tie the game and then defeat Orlando in overtime on their way to a 4-game sweep.
The players who have confidence in themselves, they want the ball in their hands because they have the belief that they're going to be able to do something positive with it.
There's some guys that just absolutely love it. They've got that focus. They've got that rhythm and pattern that they do every single time they're in a pressure situation. And they can walk up there and they've got the banners flying all over the place and the decibel levels up, but they just block it all out.
Making free throws in a clutch situation requires a cool head, a steady hand, and nerves of steel. Qualities that are possessed in abundance by one of the greatest point guards in NBA history, John Stockton of the Utah Jazz. During his brilliant career, Stockton has helped Utah become one of the NBA's elite teams. But in the 1999 playoffs, Stockton and the veteran Jazz faced enormous pressure from the upstart Sacramento Kings, who threatened to send Utah to a rare first-round exit.
Maxwell hits the three, 81-76, Kings by 5.
With the Jazz needing a comeback to keep their season alive, it was the kind of challenge Stockton had answered time and time again. The kind he had prepared for since his childhood in Spokane, Washington, when he first kindled his competitive fire.
John has a great memory for his youth, and you know, he just as soon not lose to anybody in anything, whether that's playing pool in the basement or basketball on a Sunday afternoon.
John would develop into one of basketball's top floor generals, and in the heat of every battle, he would display his cool style of leadership, directing the Jazz with composure and firm control.
I don't think John looks at pressure. I think he looks at the game. In my opinion, after being around him, he looks at it as just having fun playing. And that's what it should be. I mean, it's supposed to be fun.
Stops, looks for Malone underneath, goes in the air, bank shot, a beautiful play by Stockton. Oh, what a play.
I never saw a guy come out and play with the tenacity he plays with. He would have been a great jet pilot in World War II. John Stockton, unbelievable, carrying the Jazz on his 6'3".
The part I enjoy is trying to win and doing whatever it takes to win, and I try to stay focused on what my job is out there. And it's a simple game, and it's a great game when there's an intensity and a willingness to bring your lunch pail with you every day and go to work.
Stockton has earned a place in history as the NBA's all-time leader in assists and steals. But he has also been defined by his poise under pressure, never more important than during the postseason.
Every game seems to mean everything, and you go home and it stays on your mind, and people talk about the pressure increasing, but I think it's not a pressure where you're feeling nervous. It's more of a pressure where you can't wait for the next one.
One of his most crucial challenges came late in Game 6 in the 1997 Western Conference Finals against Houston.
Stockton, 3-on-2, keeps it, tie game.
Leading a Jazz comeback, Stockton would score 13 points in the last 3 minutes, none more dramatic than the game's final basket.
Stockton, open three, hit it! John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
He just awesome. In a crucial situation, John Stockton made the plays to get the Jazz to the finals. Plain and simple.
The Jazz would make 2 straight finals appearances against the Chicago Bulls. But each time, Michael Jordan and the Bulls denied their championship dream. 1999 would bring a new test as the Jazz trailed the Kings 2-1. After 15 NBA seasons, Stockton would try to prove that time and younger rivals had not yet caught up with him.
John Stockton, 37 years old. Could this be the last hurrah for this great Utah?
Facing elimination before a raucous Sacramento crowd, the veteran floor leader calmly rallied his team.
Stockton to Malone. Gets it. Vintage Stockton.
But Utah still trailed by 1 until the oldest player on the court took charge once again in the final seconds.
He should have stayed with him. He should have stayed with him, Bob.
90-89 with 7/10 of a second. What a game, John Stockton.
He kept his composure and stepped up. I don't know if it was pressure. I don't even know if that word exists around John Stockton.
With Stockton leading them to victory in Game 4, the Jazz went on to defeat Sacramento in the 5th and deciding game. Still, the Kings had established themselves as a team on the rise. And leading the way was Jason Williams, a rookie who had been thrust into the pressure-packed role of NBA point guard.
Jason's his first time through it, you know. He's the point guard, and
you know, a lot of times now at the end of the game, the point guard's got to kind of run the show, you know, and so he's just learning. He's learning on the job.
I wish we had a veteran point guard with him that we would kind of ease him into it, where all the pressure is on his shoulders, but that's not the case.
Despite his youth, Williams seemed unfazed by the challenge of directing his team.
I thought I'd be real nervous for my first game, but after that game, and I wasn't nervous for that game, so there's no need to be nervous now, you know. I mean, that's my job, just go out and play ball.
He would play with the poise of a veteran, but also with his own fresh blend of style and flair.
The young fella got a little flavor in his game.
Jason Williams, how does he do it? How does he do it?
Weber again posting up. Williams to the hole. I tell you, Cotton, this guy's amazing.
Got into training camp, and I mean, you just see some of the things that he was doing. I just couldn't wait for the season to start so we could start beating up on some other guys.
One break. Oh, baby! Behind the back, and they delivered. I love it here. Now I'm dazzled.
Other guys might make a crossover dribble, but he does it different. He does it in a way that you notice it.
Jason Williams, 3-on-1. Jason, wrap around, off his hip, goes to the glass and scores against Detlef Schrempf. Oh my goodness, that was vintage Pistol Pete Maravich in the form of Jason Williams.
It feels good, you know, to be compared to such great players like Pistol Pete, but, you know, I just try to go out and play my game and do whatever I can to help my team win.
And Williams would now try to harness his electrifying talent to help turn the long-struggling Kings into a winning team.
I'm the type of person to rather have 15 assists than 50 points.
Jason, oh, what a pass! Are you kidding me?
He is a great leader on the floor. He can score, he can pass, he can do with the ball whatever he wants to do.
I tell you, this kid Jason Williams is the new kid on the block, but he plays like he's been around for a while.
He has the vision on the court, in the open court, of guys that, you know, they're pretty good names in Stockton, Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd, those type of people. He has that vision.
Ignited by their young floor leader, Sacramento unleashed an explosive and exciting attack and became the highest scoring team in the NBA.
This is a young team growing up right in front of our eyes.
And as the season wore on, Williams' maturity would only continue to grow. He led the Kings to their first winning season in 16 years and just their second playoff berth of the 90s.
This Sacramento Kings franchise has been the biggest surprise in the NBA this year.
As the Kings look to build on their success, much of the responsibility will rest with Jason Williams, and few would doubt that he can handle it.
I love his attitude, the humility he has about him. He's a competitor. He wants to beat the best.
Williams is part of a cast of young stars who face the pressure of leading the NBA into the new millennium. And they are prepared to take on the responsibility of carrying their teams on their shoulders.
Go-to guy, huh? Think I like that.
But while they may be young, it doesn't mean they have not been tested.
I grew up playing in pressure all the time because you knew everybody wanted to see you play because you were the young kid playing against the older kids and you were doing good, whereas you have regular 8-year-olds that just want to run around and play tag. So pressure was always a part of my life.
Marbury, the explosion to the rim. He is simply taking over like Michael Jordan takes over at times.
They understand that they will be constantly compared to the game's legends.
You try to avoid the pressure or the comparisons, but you know, I guess there is some there. And to expect me to play at that level, to be as good as they are every night, in some ways it's not fair. In some ways it's a lot of pressure, but you know, hopefully someday I can get to that point and also win a championship or championships like they did.
I can't be Michael, you know, I can't be Magic, I can't be Bird, I can't be those guys, but I can be Allen Iverson to the best of my ability.
The emergence of Allen Iverson as a bona fide superstar continues.
Picking up the torch from their predecessors, they are ready to make their own mark on the game.
I always consider myself as a leader, and I never had a problem with standing up in front of a crowd and leading my team into victory.
Ron Wallace turns, fade away off the glass. Oh my goodness, he's taking over!
But they also realize that in the game of basketball, individual brilliance is only half the battle.
Hey, let's go inside the B. He ain't touching. Okay.
Making people better, putting people on, making their game go to a level that they never knew that their game could go to. That's what it's all about.
What vision by Stephon Marbury.
Even as they lift the play of their teammates, it will still be up to these young leaders to take charge with the game on the line.
At the end of the game, you know who won the ball and who don't want the ball. I mean, I'm running to the ball, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta get it. I know I'm gonna make it.
They go to Marbury. Here we go. In the air, Steph.
There you go! Oh, baby! That's why you have players like Stephon Marbury on your team.
I feel as if when I'm out there on the court that I can do whatever I want to do. Whoever I'm going against is not going to stop me. The only person who can stop me is myself.
They get it to Hill. Hill fires it. How did it go? It goes!
It's Grant Hill time. Down the stretch. Come on.
I want the weight on my shoulders. I don't feel like it's that much pressure. Even if I turn over the ball with 10 seconds left, I want to have the ball in my hand.
And the Sixers looking to Allen Iverson to make it happen.
Iverson for three. Yeah! Oh, he banked it in! They love this young guy.
And as they enter the future, this new generation of stars will look to carve out their own place in history by meeting the game's ultimate challenge of leading their team to a championship.
It's a journey, and that's how you gotta look at it. This is just another challenge, another hurdle. And if I want to win a championship, if I want to get to the finals, then I have no choice but to take the challenge and go with it.
Now, those players will be under a lot of scrutiny as they lead the NBA into the future. But few young stars have faced as much pressure as Allen Houston. When the Knicks signed him in 1996, he was seen as the missing link to a championship. He also had to deal with the New York spotlight and the expectations of the fans and the media. And believe me, in New York, that's a lot of pressure. But things would get even more intense for Allen during the 1999 playoffs. That's when he faced his greatest challenge on the NBA's biggest stage.
The New York Knicks entered 1999 with the highest of hopes. With new addition Latrell Sprewell joining Allen Houston and Patrick Ewing, New York was poised for a championship run. But the Knicks struggled as the season began, their title dream appearing more elusive than ever.
It's this kind of out-of-control basketball that has doomed the Knicks time and time again this year.
And even when a victory seemed within reach, it often seemed to slip from their grasp.
We realized we lost about 9-10 real close games that could have went our way. It just didn't. The ball didn't bounce our way.
Johnson turning, kicks it out. Sprewell at the buzzer, won't go, and the Knicks a bad loss tonight.
To know that you're right there at the end and you have a game right in the palm of your hands and you let it slip away is obviously frustrating, especially when you do it over and over again.
Final seconds. Knicks down by one. Houston pass to Ewing. Ewing baseline. Won't go, and the game is over.
To make matters worse, the Knicks would lose two of their main offensive weapons to injuries for extended periods of time. In need of scoring and leadership, they turned to Allen Houston.
Spree and Patrick went out, and I really had to step up. And I think people looked at me more as a leader.
He's going to try to carry this team on his shoulders, and he can do it.
There are different kind of leaders, of course. I'm the kind of leader that just says things when they need to be said, and just try to lead by example.
Houston, got it! Allen Houston has taken over this game.
Embracing his new role as leader, Houston would take it upon himself to put the Knicks back on track and steer them toward the playoffs.
He's definitely an explosive leader out there. Usually when you see Al fired up, pumping his fist up, that means, his game is on and we should follow.
7 on the shot clock. Childs to Johnson. He's triple teamed. Out to Houston. Three-pointer. Bang! Allen Houston from downtown.
You're talking about leading the team. That's flat out leading the team.
And the Knicks win a thriller in overtime tonight here at the Garden.
Rallying behind Houston, the Knicks salvaged the 8th and final playoff spot. But staring them in the face were their arch rivals, the top-seeded Miami Heat, with vengeance on their minds after being eliminated by New York the year before.
It was on instantly. I mean, you knew. Once we knew we were in the playoffs and we were facing Miami, I mean, there was a look in guys' eyes like, this is for real.
The Heat had a score to settle, but the Knicks would have a 2-1 lead in this ferocious battle.
It has been a war all night long, and that's what the playoffs are all about.
But on their home court in Game 4, New York fumbled away a chance to finish off the Heat, setting up a 5th and deciding game in Miami.
The Knicks blow a golden opportunity, and the Miami Heat even the series in 2 games apiece.
We have to just not look behind us, and we have to look forward and know that if we're going to win, we have to take it. It's not, it's not going to be given to us at all.
As he had all season, Houston would try to carry the Knicks through this Game 5 showdown in what loomed as the fiercest contest of all between these 2 bitter rivals.
What a war we have here in Miami tonight.
Weatherspoon blocked by Camby. Camby rejected the Weatherspoon shot. Here comes Childs. The lob for Camby.
Have you seen New York play better all season?
Here's Hardaway. 2 seconds left. Hardaway got it up. And in.
This is absolutely stunning.
Ewing just outworked everybody else, giving his team one more chance. This New York Knicks team is giving them everything they can handle today. Lonzo Mourning, the jump hook rattles down. Miami goes up 1.
And the Heat would have a chance to put the Knicks away for good in the final seconds of the game.
Miami's offense is designed to use 24 seconds, so the Knicks are going to have to play some defense. Hardaway lost it. Larry Johnson has it for New York. Here's Sprewell. Timeout, New York.
Tim cannot believe it.
Now trailing by 1, their season hanging in the balance, New York was in need of a last-second hero.
Miami leads New York 77-76 and 4.5 left in the game.
Charlie Ward inbounding on the right sideline. Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper off the front rim and in.
New York wins. This time Allen Houston is legit. He is the hero. He seals the deal. And the New York Knicks have become the second number 8 team in NBA history to knock off a number 1.
I think this is the biggest shot ever for me. It feels great. That's what basketball moments when you've worked all your life and you worked hard, those are the moments you live for. And hopefully, the next round, there'll be other ones.
The shot had given the Knicks new life and Houston new confidence. He would lead them to an easy sweep of Atlanta. And with a stunning victory over Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals, Houston had arrived as a full-fledged star.
And dreams do come true. And the New York Knicks are going to San Antonio to the NBA Finals.
In advancing to the finals, New York would meet the San Antonio Spurs, a team that had faced their own share of pressure that had been building for the past decade. In 1989, a heralded college superstar named David Robinson joined the Spurs. Hailed as the savior of the franchise, Robinson would make an instant and dramatic impact.
Johnson's got it. Into the lane. Over to Robinson. Oh, my! Two-handed sledgehammer jam for David Robinson.
Robinson, along with fellow rookie Sean Elliott, led the Spurs to 35 more victories than the year before and the Western Conference semifinals.
Whenever you have a guy like David Robinson and the impact that he has on the game, automatically you're going to think, hey, in the next couple of years we're going to win a championship.
But in the seasons to come, the Spurs would have trouble living up to those lofty expectations.
For San Antonio, it has to be the ultimate letdown again. This is a team that has really underachieved when it's gotten to postseason.
People just thought it was going to be a natural progression for us to go ahead and win this thing. And I think maybe that talk started too early, put a lot of pressure on us.
Year after year, Elliott, Robinson, and Avery Johnson would see impressive regular seasons washed away by playoff failures.
Robinson is saying, what must I do?
It was always David's fault, or David didn't compete, or David was soft. In reality, all it meant was that the team wasn't good enough.
In 1997, with Robinson injured, the Spurs hit rock bottom, winning just 20 games. But a decade after drafting David, the team chose another 7-foot superstar named Tim Duncan. And as they blended their talents, the two big men would lead a San Antonio resurgence. In 1999, the team rolled to the league's best regular season record.
Johnson, Robinson, gives it up to Ellie for the win!
But their return to the NBA's elite would also bring renewed pressure on the Spurs as they tried to erase their history of playoff disappointment.
Just having the best record of the regular season, that doesn't mean anything. You know, it just means that, you know, you've played pretty well up to that point, but you still got to prove yourself in a whole different pressure situation.
And they would be tested right away as the young Minnesota Timberwolves rose up to defeat the Spurs in San Antonio, tying their first-round series at 1.
I think that there was a little bit of nervousness there, like, what are we doing here? Are we doing this thing again?
But this Spurs team showed signs they just might be different, beating the Wolves in 4 games and then sweeping the Lakers. In the Western Conference Finals, they would meet the Portland Trail Blazers, who had the league's best home record. The Blazers wanted a split in San Antonio, and with an 18-point lead in Game 2, they seemed well on their way to achieving it.
Now to Kersey off the dive. He's smothered by Walt Williams.
If this was a different Spurs team, now would be the perfect time to show it. And they began to claw their way back.
Sean Elliott with daylight. And knows what to do with it.
A 17-2 run by the Spurs.
This team is so resilient down the stretch, and we just never give up. You know, we feel when the game is close, the last 3 minutes of the game, we feel we're going to win every game.
San Antonio still trailed by 2 points in the game's closing seconds. Sean Elliott had seen too many playoff games end in bitter defeats. Now, he would try to write a new ending.
Ellie will throw it in. Into Sean Elliott. He fires the 3. Oh, San Antonio takes the lead. San Antonio's only lead is the final score.
I'm pretty sure that they thought they had this game in the bag. So for us to be able to come back and win, it's got to break their back a little bit.
And it did just that. Portland never recovered as the Spurs completed their second straight sweep.
Feels good, but, you know, still more out. I'm excited, but we got to reach our goal.
The Spurs' final test would come against Allen Houston and the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. San Antonio battled their way to a commanding 3-1 lead. But even as they came to the brink of their first NBA championship, they were intent on maintaining their resolve.
We ain't did nothing yet, so let's come with the same intensity. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Defense.
And for the veteran David Robinson, the quest that had begun a decade earlier was now nearly complete.
I just remember all the trials, and I remember it all as real, you know, challenging but positive. I mean, for me, you know, it really taught me how to reach down and get a little something else out of myself.
But the last step to the title would prove to be one of the toughest against an inspired Knick team intent on pushing the series to a 6th game.
As I look across the floor at the Spurs, there's concern on those faces.
With the Spurs confronting yet another challenge, their young superstar Tim Duncan would take over, hitting shot after tough shot. But New York still held a late 1-point lead.
Now, who else besides Duncan will stand up for the Spurs? The championship awaits.
Every one of our guys has taken a lot of, you know, criticism as far as, you know, Avery, they say, oh, you never win with that point guard. Sean, you know, they say stuff about him. Me, they say stuff about me. So it's one of those situations where Avery and Sean and I can kind of sit there and look at each other, and we have that bond.
Now, in the final minute of Game 5, San Antonio would have the ball and an opportunity to silence their critics once and for all.
Here comes Avery Johnson. A title's at stake. Spurs are closing in. They want Duncan. Got it on the entry pass. Double team. Elliott on top. Elliott bluffs, drives, kicks. Avery Johnson for the lead, yes!
Avery Johnson drills it from the baseline, and the Spurs have regained the lead.
The Knicks had one last chance, but the Spurs had come too far to let the championship slip from their grasp.
The San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
Failure is not always failure. Failure can be success. Failure can prepare you for success. It's all about the team. The team needed me to hit that shot, and they was depending on me.
The real satisfaction I get out of this is watching David and Sean and Avery smile and enjoy after having been together so many years and things finally work out for them.
No player has delivered under pressure more often than Michael Jordan. In leading the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA titles, he was at his best when the stakes were highest, combining his dazzling talent with a tireless work ethic.
He'll work himself into a lather, like a racehorse. He'd be going out there harder and harder when things got more and more difficult.
And in crucial moments, opponents felt the full measure of Jordan's competitive drive and fierce will to win.
You're going to have to cut Michael Jordan's heart out to beat him.
But perhaps his greatest test came in Game 5 of the 1997 Finals against Utah, when he had more to overcome than just the Jazz.
Now the big story here tonight concerning Michael Jordan's physical conditions. He is suffering from flu-like symptoms. His status is uncertain.
The bad news for the Bulls, the stomach virus that has hit Michael Jordan, and you wonder just how much, how long, and how hard he'll be able to go.
I don't know if Michael can carry the Bulls on the road against the Jazz. This is the finals, and this team is for real, and he needs help. And unless he gets it, I don't believe they're going to win Game 5.
With the series tied at 2, Karl Malone and the Jazz were fueled by their frenzied crowd. Yet a weakened Jordan still kept the Bulls close.
MJ against Russell to the free throw line. Hangs in the air, jumper good.
Oh, shot.
Nothing but net for Michael.
After Utah stormed to an early 16-point lead, Jordan would valiantly bring his team back.
And Jordan with 12 of his 16 points here in the second quarter. And the steal by Jordan. Putting behind the back on Russell. He turned it around and finished to Pippen. Oh, by Jordan. What a play by Michael Jordan.
But with their leader ailing and exhausted, the question remained whether the Bulls could stay within range. And before halftime, the Jazz would provide an ominous answer.
Russell's open on Bushler. Slam! Oh! A big-time slam. Utah will take a lead in intermission.
We talked about that uphill fight, especially in front of a crowd like this and a team as good as Utah.
With little left to draw upon but will, Jordan would continue to lead the Bulls in the second half.
MJ, Michael for 3. Come on! Yes, sir! MJ and Trey.
This fourth quarter is going to be a war.
Michael, a drive through traffic, scoops a shot up and scores.
Tough shot. Jordan is absolutely exhausted and worn out.
And Michael is dead on his feet, exhausted.
In a performance that grew more remarkable by the minute, Jordan would summon the strength for one final push in the fourth quarter.
Michael Jordan, incredible!
But as this pivotal contest reached its waning moments, the Jazz would once again look to seize control of the game and the series.
Picked up by Hornacek, no whistle, shot clock 2. Stockton, 3 for the lead. Another huge 3 by Stockton. Sweat just pouring off Michael Jordan. No time to rest now.
MJ, this will be the guttiest performance maybe all time.
With the score tied in the final minute, it would be Jordan who delivered the crushing blow.
Wants to go on Hornacek. Demanded the ball. Back Michael. Open 3. Yes! They lead it. 38 points for the Kings.
Stuck a dagger in him with a 3. Yes!
In the face of pressure and adversity, Michael Jordan had written an unforgettable chapter in finals history. He had carried the Bulls to the victory that propelled them to their 5th NBA title.
Classic performance by the blue-ribbon
today was unbelievable. You know, as his teammates, we really appreciate the way that he steps up and shows his leadership for our ball club.
I didn't want to give up. You know, no matter how sick I was, or how tired I was, or how, low on energy I was, I felt an obligation, to my team, to the city of Chicago, to go out and give that extra effort.
That was one of Michael's top pressure performances. But there's another one that will always stand out in my mind. The shot in 1982 that won the national championship for us when we were teammates at the University of North Carolina. Now, his clutch play is one of the things that's made him a legend. Michael not only responded to the pressure, he welcomed it. And that's the trademark of great NBA players. They rise to the challenges, deliver in key moments, and live up to the highest expectations. They exemplify just what it means to perform under pressure.
DJ to make the inbounds pass. They're double teaming Bird. Larry, fake, fall away.
Hits it at the buzzer! All right!
A game with 8 seconds left. The Bulls get it in play to Michael Jordan. No timeout. Michael into the front court. Left corner shot by Jordan. Good!
Oscar has Collins on him. 3 seconds left on the 24-second clock. Collins on the floor.
What a play by Dave Collins. Battle into overtime. Albert King. Barkley for 3! Oh, no!
What the Suns are going to do. Nope, they stay back. Off it comes to Chapman. Almost overthrown. Chapman, long shot up. Oh! Here it is! 1.9 left in regulation. Chapman hit it.
This is reaction time. You got to get it, you got to put it up. If you don't get a shot away, they'll talk about it the rest of your life. Magic fires for 3. Got it at the buzzer! Magic hit a three-pointer. The Lakers win.
Up. No good. Rebound Day. Day with 5 seconds into the front court. Goes to Malone into the corner. Malone throws up a brick left side. Good! Oh my goodness, what a shot!
Maloney pressured by Stockton. Left side is Drexler, 3 seconds.
Drexler outside. Maloney. Johnson at the buzzer.